Konnichiwa, this is the Shogunstein, and this is a colorblind perspective of Market Mayhem, a new stock market game from the Flyer Brothers, the stock market game. Just in the interest of transparency and disclosure, the Flyer Brothers did send us a review copy of Market Mayhem. So just to be transparent, they did send us a review copy. So we're going to look at the game from a colorblind board game perspective. This is not a review of the game. We will do that later on. We're just going to look at the issues that may or may not impact you if you are a colorblind player. So spoiler alert here. And I like to give people the spoiler alert because I went and saw that boat movie a few years ago, and the person I was with told me that this supposedly unsinkable ship was going to hit the iceberg and sink. I didn't see that coming. So I like to give people the spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, I did not find any issues with the game that impacted my color blindness, which is red, green, brown, blue, purple. So for the color blindness that I have, I did not have any issues playing the game. With that said, I want to go over a few suggestions that if they make a next edition or future editions, that maybe could be improvements. But overall, there were no issues with color. There were plenty of symbols. Everything was very easy to follow. I didn't have any issues where my color blindness got in the way of playing. There are some games that if you're a colorblind player that you actually can't play because of some of the color issues. Sagrada, the original version of Sagrada, is like impossible for me to play. Or a game like Century Spice, the original version with those cubes, can't tell them apart. So with this game, Market Mayhem, from the Flyer Brothers, no issues that I found with color. For instance, the cards, the Market Mayhem cards, no issues of color. No issues with color on the pit board. No issues with the stock prices. No issues in the rule book. Sometimes in the rule book, when they use the same colors that they use in the game that you can't tell apart, that you have trouble reading the rule book, but no issues with the rule book. So overall, a very colorblind friendly game. Now, with that said, a few suggestions that I would make for a future edition that may help even improve the make it even more colorblind friendly. But again, no issues with colorblindness when I played. And again, that's based on my colorblindness. So the first thing I would suggest is with the money, I found the color of the money, and not the Paul Newman movie, the color of the money was very similar. Now, yes, I can just look at the denomination. That's why it didn't ultimately impact my gameplay, because you can clearly say, look at the number and see how much it's worth. But I found the colors to be similar and the symbol in the middle to be the same. So if I was going to do a new edition, I might change the colors or at least have a different symbol in the denomination to distinguish it. I mean, again, you can look at the number. Ultimately, it didn't impact the gameplay, but that is something that I would change. I'd have to, look at the number. I can't just go based on the color of the money. So I would suggest that they change the color of that money. It's in the way that you use it. Hey, that's Eric Clapton reference, color of money. But again, that would be my suggestion, or to put a different symbol in here. But ultimately, did not impact playing the game. The other issue that I would recommend that in a future edition, and again, it didn't impact when I actually played the game, but on the spaces, and each space has a different function, some of the colors that they used were similar. So again, ultimately in playing the game, it didn't impact anything, but just to make it even easier for colorblind players, they used red, greens, and purples, which can be hard to tell apart. Now, again, it didn't impact the gameplay ultimately, so there was no hindrance to me being able to play the game based on that. But again, just to make it stand out a little more, especially as these spaces have different functions, I would maybe in a future edition use some different colors. I wish, a lot of more board games would not use reds and greens. And again, I'm not telling a board game that they should change their whole thing because, a certain percentage of us are colorblind, but it is just something to keep in mind that most people who are colorblind, reds and greens can be really troublesome. So if they were going to do another edition of this game, I would maybe change the colors used on the board. But ultimately, it did not impact my playing experience. So overall, found it to be a very colorblind friendly game. I was able to play, no issues at all. Didn't have to ask little Shogunstein for any help. Some games I have to play that are bad for colorblind players. I have to ask people I'm playing with, what color is this? Sometimes you pick the wrong thing. None of those issues here. But if they were going to print a new edition, I would say maybe use different color on the money, maybe put a different symbol in here, and then maybe use different colors on the board. But ultimately, it had no impact on my playing the game. The pit board, where a lot of the action in the game takes place, no issues. And throughout the game, they use symbols that are very easy to follow. For those of us who are colorblind, the use of symbols is very important because we can go by the symbol and not have to rely on colors. And they did a good job with the symbols in the game. So again, this is not a review of Market Mayhem. The game, we'll do that in a future video as we get some more plays in. But other than a couple suggestions about the money and the color on the board, found the game to be very colorblind friendly. This is the Shogunstein out.